What is up, everybody? Happy day after Christmas. I hope everyone had a good holiday, but didn't go too crazy. And if you did, I hope you have a quick recovery because we don't stop over here. We are aiming to help people have mental clarity and to get them out of toxicity in many, many ways. So today's subject line is mental clarity and basically fixing the mentality of not only America, but of the world. Um, I think a lot of people are very afraid of pain. I think they are, and we have been kind of conditioned to when we feel even the slightest bit of pain, what do? We go to the sugar, the alcohol, the Tylenol, the Advil, etc. We go to those things to numb the pain. When it's pretty interesting because I find that, and I made a couple notes here. I find that if it wasn't painful to go through it, everyone would do it, right? And why I say that is because we use painkillers to hide because we don't want to deal with something, right? I am a firm believer, and most holistic people that work in the holistic world, I'm sure, can agree with me that people use painkillers because they don't want to deal with something chronic. They don't want to go deep. They don't want to handle the internal pain. And the reason why I say internal is because I think a lot of stuff that we all deal with is things of our past trauma, past mental, people put things onto you, put limitations onto you, and therefore you have a lot of these mental blocks that cause you to not be able to move past that, right? So because you don't want to deal with it, right? What does that say about us as a society, as somebody, as a culture, right? Who we don't want to deal with our deep issues. We don't want to look inside ourselves, stop projecting our insecurities or anything onto other people. Instead, we lash out, or we can't have a self-controlled discussion with somebody. It's always got to be I'm right, you're wrong, right? Whereas I believe true respect comes from listening to other people's ideas and being able to listen, being able to respond as opposed to react. We live in a very reactive society. And I personally, just from working with people in person, is that I think a lot of people hide behind their screen. A lot of people hide behind, they have a lot more courage and strength behind their phone or behind their Facebook or their Instagram, what have you. And they say a lot more than they would say out loud. Just kind of like, I was talking to a client about this earlier, how I don't think people realize how shitty we talk to ourselves. Like ask yourself this question. Do you talk well to yourself? Like, do you have a lot of really positive self-talk or a lot of negative self-talk? And if you have a lot of negative self-talk, do you call out the negative self-talk, or do you just keep letting it go and go and go? I think these are really deep questions that you have to start asking yourself. I think anybody, like, I hear the word narcissism all the time, and I'm like, all right, this whole trend of being a narcissist is like, to me, I hate to say it, it's kind of getting old. And not to say like there aren't narcissistic people out there, but like just because somebody has toxic behavior or somebody's selfish or what have you, I believe you create your own reality. So if you're constantly saying that person's a narcissist, that person's a narcissist, you're labeling that person, and therefore they're always going to be a narcissist to you. Just like if you lived in the past, 30 years ago, and you're telling yourself, you're still back when you got abused, or you're telling yourself, there's actually a statistic out there. I can't remember where I saw it, and I would give credit to it if I remembered, but it basically said something to the effect of, and if somebody knows this, please put this in the comments, but basically said something to the effect of, people will always gain weight because women specifically will gain weight because they don't want to be abused, and the way they know they have to protect themselves. So they know how to protect themselves by gaining weight. And I just found that I think that's actually more than just women. I think it was a woman statistic, but I think it's more than women. I think that is across the board. People are so afraid of being slightly vulnerable, and it's because they talk so much trash in their head. They're afraid of being judged. So what do? They judge themselves constantly. And I was had a lot of obviously interesting observations and things around family and this whole weekend. And the thing that I really noticed was that I don't drink anymore. It's just a decision that I made, in the past year or so, that I just don't enjoy how I feel. So, and that's not on anybody else. That's just what I've personally decided for my own life. I just don't enjoy it. And that's me, right? Not judging you, not shaming you. If you want to drink and have a good time, let yourself fly, right? But to judge others is crazy, right? I'm trying to get out of this judgment of not only others, but myself. If I go, like, I went into in a little family gathering yesterday, and I had a family member who, I made bread from scratch, and she says, "Oh, I don't eat that stuff." I said, "You don't eat bread or what?" "I don't eat healthy stuff." I said, "Okay." And everyone was like, and I don't make it. It's not. I'm not shy of saying it. Like, you're not ready to do that. That's fine. That's on you. You've made that decision for yourself. So I just think, again, it comes down to, like, you're not ready for it. You're not ready to take that step. You're not ready to do that. You're telling yourself mentally, and you're just continuing that negative talk. "Oh, I don't think I deserve health. I don't feel like I don't." You don't believe you deserve to take your life to a new level. You don't believe you deserve, and it's because you're telling yourself all the time, constantly, you don't believe it, you don't need it, blah, 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 right? So I guess my point here is, why do we talk so badly to ourselves? And why do we live in this past of never being able to move on? And I just think a lot of people are so stuck in their mental noise that they can't get out of it. Their mental brain, like people don't believe that you can brainwash yourself. Guys, you absolutely can brainwash yourself. I hate to tell you this, but, like, you totally can brainwash yourself into lack, into not deserving what you feel like you deserve. You can brainwash that into yourself, and not feeling worthy, of not feeling loved. You can brainwash yourself. And you can also be brainwashed by other people, by the media, by our society. You can be brainwashed. And it's so difficult to get people out of that, because they associate and then they label themselves as this person. It's like an alcoholic. Like, they say, "Oh, I'm an alcoholic, da, da, da." It's like, okay, but if you continue to tell yourself that you're an alcoholic till you're 20, till you're 20 years later, it's kind of like, well, you're not an alcoholic anymore. So to me, you're recovered. So why are you continuing to tell yourself that you are? Like, it's like, if I used to be a fat kid. It's like, if I continue to tell myself, "Oh yeah, I'm a fat kid at heart," like, I'm gonna always have that thought of, "Oh, I'm a fat kid." I'm not a fat kid. I'm very fit. I'm in shape. I'm healthy. I'm energetic, right? Until you start to retell your story, until you start to believe yourself and believe your new life of where you want to be, you're never going to get to where you want to be, because you're still living in that old past, that old paradigm that you need to break through. It's like people who are like, "Oh my God, I'm so afraid of this recession, blah, blah, blah." It's like, you've created that fear for yourself. No one's done that to you. You're in this lack mindset where you say to yourself, "I can't afford it," versus, I'll make a way to afford it. I don't even use the word afford. I think the word afford is just, like, I hate to say it, it's kind of a peasantry term. It's like, why are you saying you can't? You're literally limiting yourself to, "Oh, I can't do that," or, "Oh, I can't afford." Even the word budget, it's like, okay, why? You should be producing more. You should be creating more. You should be finding more jobs. Why are we in this mindset of lack, of not being able to move on? We're constantly, again, this is where it's like, would you talk to your best friend? Would you talk to what's up, Bruno? Would you talk to your mother like this? Like, you would never say these words, maybe some of you would, but you wouldn't say half these things to another person, and you're saying this to yourself. And this is just where I say, it's like, get control of your thoughts. Well, the second you start to control your thoughts and you start to tell yourself a different story, and you start writing, guys, the power in writing. I listened to Robert Kiyosaki. I've listened to all the Stoics. I've listened to Lewis Howes. I've listened to, Tony Robbins. And all of these guys, all these people say, write it down, visualize it, put it on paper, get it out, put it out into the universe, show it to God, talk to God about it. all these, they are so full of faith all of the time. And guess what? It has changed my life, right? Now, you have to be, to me, you have to be a big dreamer for one, but you also have to, like, a lot of this is like, if you're going to write, I want to make $1 million tomorrow, like, that's not how you do this. You need to write it in the present moment, and you need to start believing your thoughts. So many of us have been taught to not believe in ourselves, right? I literally write the word, right? It's on my computer. I believe in myself, right? I believe in myself. Because when you start to believe in yourself, that's confidence in what you're doing, confidence in your dreams, confidence in what you want to manifest, what you want God to bring into your life, etc. But if you're always having these negative doubts and these negative emotions and all of this stuff, like, you need to A, get that out of the body, but B, stop talking to yourself in such a way where you're always putting this limitation on yourself. It's just insane, right? Like, I can't tell you how many people come in and they make so many strides forward, and then the mentality, the mental block just goes, nope, we're done. That's it. And I'm like, you need to push past, you need to confront this thing, right? You need to confront why. If you're somebody who's always had bowel issues, or like you have anxiety around going to the bathroom everywhere, why? What happened to you in your life? And again, this is where I can get deep with this, doing muscle testing and stuff. But if you can't address that mental block, you're never going to go past that. It's a brick wall. You're never going to get past it, right? It's pretty crazy when you start to address emotional barriers and you push past that emotional barrier. The toxins come out. You feel way better. And what happens is, even if we just address the emotion, you get the emotion, you understand, oh my gosh, wow, yeah, that resonates. Guess what? Then you can actually start looking at your life and going, wow, I dread going to the bathroom in the morning because I have so much anxiety around it, or I dread going to the bathroom in the morning because I'm so scared that if I don't go by a specific time, because somebody ingrained into my head that if I don't go an hour after I wake up or right when I wake up, then something is wrong with me. Like, these are blockages that I'm just like, people have put these onto you, that if you don't start thinking for yourself and looking at yourself in the mirror and going, is that even real? Like I hear all the time people say, oh, if I don't get 8 hours of sleep, I'm not going to wake up with energy. Well, you are claiming that. You have claimed that if you don't go to bed by 9 o'clock and you wake up at 5 every morning, if you don't go to bed by 9 o'clock or 10, whatever time it is, that you are already telling yourself, I'm going to be run down tomorrow. I'm going to be tired. Da, 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 da. You are telling yourself that story, right? I know so many people who have this issue. They're like, I got to sleep. I got to sleep. I got to sleep. I got to sleep. You are putting so much pressure on that rest that you're not going to rest. So you need to think and look at, why am I not getting rest? Because I'm literally putting such a limitation and a label on what time I need to go to bed. And if I'm going to have this much energy, I need to get this much. Who said that? Yes, sleep is obviously important and recovery is important. I don't want you getting run down. However, why are you putting run down in your brain? Why are you putting that label in your brain that you're going to be run down? Every morning I write, I am thankful, I am grateful that I am full of energy and I have all the energy that I need to serve as many people as I can today, right? Instead of going, oh, I only got 5 hours. I'm going to be so tired today. You're telling your body that already. I'm full of energy. I got 5 hours of sleep last night. I feel great. I'm not saying I want that to be prolonged, but the more pressure, and that's also a matter of pattern, right? Like and I've had to start looking at my own life and going, yeah, I need to really address these couple of things. I'm going to start with this one because this one is the biggest reason. And I have a feeling that if I tackle this one, all these other ones will fall into place. You have to start looking at your patterns in life. This is the true key to success, in my opinion, and it's Atomic Habits. Oh, I can't remember his name. It's a book. The book is called Atomic Habits, and it literally talks about, you start with one habit. You don't start with 5, because when you start with 5, or when you start with more than 3, or I think it's more than 3, you start with 1, you have an 80% chance of success. When you add on another, your chances go down. I think they go down to like 50. And then if you add another, so that's 3, your chances of success go down to like 20, right? It's really low. So by starting with 1 and you commit to that for like 60 days, right? 2 months, that's not a lot of time. And then you continue to stack on new habits, and the better you get at it, the easier it is, right? But the point of this is your mental your mental thoughts, how you're speaking to yourself, how you're limiting yourself is all in the patterns. You just have to start looking at the patterns that you've created, right? Let's say you want to stop eating junk food, right? You just want to stop. You're tired of eating junk food. You're tired of feeling like crap, all that, right? Let's say you feel like that. What I'm going to say to you is stop buying it. Start altering your mind to, I don't even want to have this in my house, right? I can tell you people come over to my house and they're like, you don't have any snacks. I'm like, because I am not a snacker. I don't like to be a snacker. I don't want to be a snacker. They're like, wow. And I'm like, okay, like you can judge me, that's fine. But I'm not judging myself because I'm secure in that, right? Our problem is that we don't have any security in ourselves because we have not, again, on the mental front, we have not established who we are. We have not done the work on who am I? What do I stand for? Why do I want to change that? Do I want to change that because I want to or because somebody else is? Am I trying to be a version of myself to another, right? Stop being a version of yourself. Be yourself, right? There's in psychocybernetics, there's a Maxwell is his name. I'm reading a lot of books right now. And he talks about stop thinking inferior and superior, right? There's nobody superior to you. There's nobody inferior to you. Just be you. There's just you. When you stop with these inferior and superior things, you start to just go, this is who I am. This is me. And I'm getting to know myself more, right? I'm getting to know, like, even I'll tell you guys right now, I had a huge discovery last week that I was like, it felt like a weight came off my shoulders. I said to myself, pose this question. I said, do I want to date someone right now? Or was that just somebody putting that in my head that I need to date someone right now? So therefore, my brain said, I need to date, I need to date, I need to date, I need to date. I sat with myself last week and I go, I don't even want to date right now. I don't even want to. Not in like a malicious, I just don't even have I need to care for me right now. I have so many things that I need to do in my world and my business where I see myself, where I see my life going in the next 5 to 10 years that I'm like, I can't even think about bringing in someone to my life right now. Like, it's almost crazy, right? I almost was like, how did I even do this? Like, how did I even have these thoughts? And it was like these self-deprecating, like, you're not worthy, you're not lovable, no, duh. And it's like crazy because I'm like, I know I'm lovable, I know I'm worthy, I know I'm this, I know all these things that I was just like, oh my gosh. It's literally just that I don't want this right now in my life. But I've allowed other people's opinions on what that looks like in my life to put into me and put into my brain. When I just went, I don't even want this right now. And I've told everyone, please stop asking about it because that's not even where I'm at right now. And guess what? Freeing. I'm like, it's like a weight lifted off. And I was just like, whoa, this feels good. This feels really good because now I can just, again, focus on the mission. I can focus on where I need to be, who I need to serve, the people, because that's my true deep down mission. That's my true deep down, happy Bruno. Wow. That's my true, like, if I really look at myself and I really look at my life and where I've kind of how I've let people dictate to me that I need to be in a relationship or what society deems is the right time for things and da da da. And I was like, this is not just family. This is like society. Like, society has put this on me for so long that, like, it's not okay to be alone. Guys, like, yeah, man, I like me and I like me alone. Exactly right. Like, don't get me wrong. Do I want to be alone for the rest of my life? No, God willing. But I'm also not in a rush to sacrifice. And I think a lot of people, I think a lot of people are in this place of like compromising like the core of who they are. And I just am not willing to do that. I'm not willing to. And I think a lot of people are like, oh, you have to sacrifice. Yeah, you make certain sacrifices, like maybe like superficially, but there's also an aspect of if I'm going to sacrifice, I'm not sacrificing my core values and my core, like my morality and my integrity at work. And listen, I've learned from Dr. If you guys look him up, he's fantastic. He just talks about the morality and like how how we as a society have kind of given up our essential being, right? Like we're always about like, oh, I need to be dependent or independent, and this person needs to be independent, and then you come together to basically create like a unit, like a family unit, and it's pretty wild because I thought about that and I was like, wow, I can't believe we have gotten so far to compromising, so to speak, that we're compromising our own individual missions in life and our own individual destiny in life so much so that like we don't even know who we are anymore. Like I have so many clients right now, I hate to say it, but like are in separations or going through it in like such a dark way because they have literally given up every part of themselves to their significant other to where they don't even know who they are. And I'm like, this is like problem, and they're like sort of separated, and I'm sort of like, and this is a lot of people, and they're separated because they've literally given up who they are. Like they have sacrificed so much of who they are to a point where you're just like, why did you do that? Like, and I'm not judging, it's literally just like it made me really sit and think to myself, am I ready for this? I have a lot of people right now who are in very toxic or very compromised relationships. And I just kind of go to myself and I think, do I want to be in something like that? Because remember, you are who you surround yourself with. So if you're around a bunch of people who have like bad marriages or bad, relationships, or have been in relationships with people who don't see eye to eye or who have sacrificed who they are or what have you, do I want that in my life? And this is again where then you start to level up and you start to kind of go, I want people who are like me. I want people who want to help this planet and save this planet and thrive and be abundant and be prosperous. There's nothing wrong with wanting those things, you guys, but we have been conditioned to think, oh, if you want prosperity, you're of the devil. Like, girl, bye. Like, take a seat. This is ridiculous. Okay. If you want a rich life and you want to feel wealthy from the inside out, that is not only takes work, but it takes being around people who want similar things as you. And there's nothing wrong with being around people like that. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm sorry. It's just unreal. Never compromise who you are, what you are, or your principles. Just be you. Amen, Bruno. Never compromise. Like the core of who you are is you. And if you're always compromising yourself, you will literally always be like, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Who was I listening to last night that I was like, oh my gosh, I think it was somebody. Oh, it was Mel Robbins. She's fantastic. Hey, Michelle. She's fantastic. She said the reason why people get miserable and feel stuck is because they aren't growing. They have sacrificed so much of themselves to their partner, to their job, that they have no growth. They feel no growth, and they are just depleted. And their partner is taking every ounce of that, what have you. And it's just like, that's why you feel stuck. You feel stuck because you have nothing to look forward to, right? Like I can tell you, maybe 3 weeks ago, I was like, why do I feel stuck? And then it was like, I feel stuck because my dream wasn't big enough. If you're not dreaming big, and if you're not going hard, and if you're not expanding your mind and your dream and your vision all the time, I do believe you get stuck. I do believe you get a little complacent and tired, and then you don't want to wake up in the morning. People are like, how do you wake up motivated every day? And I'm like, because my vision and my dream is so massive, because I'm not afraid of it. I used to be terrified because everyone used to tell me all the time, you can't do that. You can't dream like that, blah, blah, blah. Guess what? I can, and I did. All right. So all of this to say, stop worrying about other people. Worry about yourself. Focus inward. Go inward. Okay. Trust God. Trust the universe. Trust whatever you believe in, right? But a higher power will always take you, and you always have that consciousness and that foundation inside of you to go, oh, wow. Okay, this is where I feel good. This is me, right? But it's until you start to address that. Who are you? What is your standing? Where are you foundationally? Until you start to have that, it will not ever get better. So start focusing inward. This is the best time to do it. You have a week before the new year, new you BS comes out, right? Start focusing on yourself and keep at it, keep kicking ass. And I'll talk to you this week because you know what? We keep doing it. We're killing it over here. And just be well. And I will talk to you all at some point this week. Peace.